Alright guys, welcome to the channel. My name's Chris. In today's video we're making this from a tree fork, an ash tree. It turned out really nice, it shoots really nice, and I hope you enjoy the video. Alright guys, first we're going to start to cut this down to size, and I've got my forks marked in here for my TTF tips. I hope this works out. If it doesn't work out I can always change it to an OTT. But yeah, there's my tips, and this is roughly where my grip is going to go. Really looking forward to this one. Let's go over to the bandsaw and get it cut out. Alright guys, so here's where we're at with it. Nice web swell. Nice chunky fork, plenty to work with. Gonna leave the handle quite fat. Yeah, turning out really good. So let's keep shaping this and then we'll do our band grooves. Alright guys, so now we're going to sand with 180 grit. So now we're going to put the band grooves in before we do any higher grit sanding. Alright guys, so here's where we're at so far. Really pleased with how this turned out. And it's the first TTF natty I've made for a long time. And it's the best I've done. Although it wouldn't be hard. I've only ever made a couple of TTF natties. It's been years since I made one. But yeah, beautiful piece of ash. Let's go and get it branded, finished and banded. Alright guys, so I'm just filling this frame, the ergonomics, before I brand it. And I want to take a little bit off here. And I also want to create a flat surface, a small flat surface for my logo to be branded onto. So we'll just do that now. You can't even really tell, but there's a small flat surface there. I'm going to blend it in a small bit on the bobbin sander. Hit it again on the Scotch-Brite to buff it up, and then we're going to brand it. That turned out beautiful. Okay, let's dye this forest green. This is Dartford's Interior Spirit-Based Wood Dye. And I think spirit-based dyes are the best for this type of job because they're thinner. I love the forest green and I love how ash takes on the dye. So we're just going to pop this in the dye now. We'll let that soak for a minute or two. Okay, let's get this out. Oh yeah. Wow. I do love ash, these dyed ash natties. The dye really makes the green jump out of the ash, especially on the ash. You can see them really dark contrasting lines. You also get this effect on ash when you scorch it. The grain lines really take like a scorched look, and it nearly leaves it like a striped, zebra striped look. But yeah, that's beautiful. Really happy with how that turned out. See the little logo? Logo came up class too. Yeah. First TTF natty in a long time, guys. What do you think? I'm going to let this dry and then we're going to put my beeswax paste on. Okay guys, here's our beeswax we made the other day. I'll link the video up here in the corner if you want to learn how to make your own beeswax. So this is the thin pasty stuff we made. First time I've used it. Oh yeah, it's really good. That ash is drinking it up really well. I've heated this little slingshot up on the little fan heater I have. Used it to heat it up and also dry in the wood dye. I think I'll see how it finishes up, but I'm really liking this slightly thinner paste I made the other day. Spreading a lot easier. It feels like it's penetrating a bit deeper, although it doesn't have the same level of wax. It doesn't have just as much beeswax in the mix as the stuff I have been using. But yeah, that is awesome. That came out really well. Great finish too. That end grain just drinks it. You know, you apply it here and it sits on the top. Put it on the end grain and it just seems to absorb it like a sponge, which is what you want. It's going to seal that frame up real well. This dye, it'll take a lifetime for me to wash this dye off my hands. But yeah, let that sit for a minute and cool off, and then we'll come back out and we'll buff it off. So there she is, guys. I think that turned out awesome. I'm gonna let that wax soak in, dry up properly, and then we'll probably get her banded tomorrow. And I think the sheep like it too. Do you guys like it? Bah! Okay guys, let's band up my little TTF natty. Got 3 coats of beeswax on that now. Really pleased with that finish. Yeah, so let's cut some Sniper Sling Black, 0.5mm thick. We're going to cut it 18 centimeters long, which will leave us with like 15 centimeter active length by the time I tie the pouch on and tie the bands to the frame. And we're going to cut a 22 to 12mm taper. I've been loving that taper in the colder weather. Whenever it heats up, I'm going to stay on Sniper Sling Black, and I'm going to use a 20 to 12mm taper instead of the 22 to 12. Or God knows I could change again. That's the plan at the minute. So we're using my AliExpress template. Get it lined up with all your markings is on there. These are great little jobs. If you want one of these, go on to AliExpress and put in Slingshot band template. Okay, so here is our bands. Normally when I'm cutting bands, I'm typically shooting a frame with clips, and I'll cut them at 17 centimeters. But because it's a wrap and tuck frame and I'm using more band at the fork end for the ties, I'm making the band 10 millimeters longer. Okay, so we've got, move my bands to the side, I've got my band jig, Paul's Wild World band jig. My buddy Paul made that for me. I love it. Tied thousands of band sets with it. Got our little green alligator pouch that I like to use for 8mm steel. Got my paracord inner strand, which is nylon thread. So now we're just going to tie these up using a constrictor knot. Alright guys, so that's us with our band set tied. Now we just need to get some binding strips and bind it onto the frame. You can just use offcuts of your elastic for binding strips. Okay, so place that. Actually what we'll do is we'll put a bind on first. Then we'll place our band over the top and make sure the pouch is facing the correct way up, and we'll lash that on about 7 times. Okay guys, there we are, all banded up. Let's go and take this beauty a test drive. Alright guys, here we are. I think this piece turned out lovely. The logo on there. The dye really made the green pop out. And as always, I like to leave a bit of bark on them. This is kind of one that I didn't template, I just kind of shaped it as to what was comfortable and what worked with the fork. And I'm really happy with how it turned out. You don't need any power tools to do this. You can do this with sandpaper and rasps and files and coping saws and but I have my power tools, so I'm going to use them. But yeah, that turned out really nice. So, let's have a few shots. Ten out of 10. So yeah, that's not bad. Just before I go, I'll give you another little quick tip on release. So my release, I like to call it, well, let's go with anchor point. Okay, so whenever I get to my anchor point, load a ball in here to show you guys. When I get to my anchor point, okay, I put my thumbnail tucked in under my cheekbone, and the back knuckle of my thumb rests into my behind my cheekbone here. So I kind of call this a two-stage anchor point. So I've got two reference points on my hand as to where my anchor point is in regards to my face, where it's positioned. If the two points on my hand, my release hand, are touching the 2 points that I reference to my face, if my release is clean, then I know I'm pretty good. I'm pretty, you know, I'm not far away. After that, okay, most people hold their pouch like this, okay, at this, behind this top knuckle. Okay, I hold here between my thumb and my fingertip, alright? And when I've no speed bump, because I'm at the tips of my finger. Now it does take a little bit more finger strength to release this way, especially on a heavier setup, but the smaller ammo with the lighter setups, it may be a lighter setup so it's easier to hold, but it's also a smaller thing you're trying to hold on to, so there's a bit of give and take there. But when I anchor point at my face, my thumb doesn't move, so I'm just relaxing the grip on my finger, my index finger, and that lets the shot go. This ensures, for me, a very clean and smooth release. So I hope you got that, guys. When your anchor point, when you're drawn to your anchor point, you want to find two reference points on your pouch hand and reference them to the same two places in your face every time, whether it's the corner of the mouth. Whenever I was drawn to the corner of my mouth, I'd have the tip of my index finger in the corner of my mouth, and I'd have the back of my knuckle under my cheekbone. And the same thing again, just relax the grip to release. Your release should only be a relaxed movement. It shouldn't be an explosive movement. But anyway, guys, I hope that release tip helped some of you guys. You know, get out there, keep practicing. Accuracy comes, be patient. You know, you need to think about things, but don't overthink them. I know it's hard, you know, but I hope you enjoyed this build video as much as I enjoyed making it, and as much as I enjoy this little TTF natty. Like I said, it's been a while. I really appreciate you guys. Thanks for watching.